probably the best bit of the movie.
I found this on the web for our killer being interviewed, and it's creepy and probably the best bit of the movie.
Shut up, Siri. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday, where we talk about anime, animation, and world cinema. Today I'm going to be talking about a film with some very dark content in it. We're diving deep into Aditya Nimbalaka's, did I say that right? Nimbalaka's Sectors 36. A gritty, intense thriller based on a true story. Is it worth your time? Well, let's find out. Right off the bat, I have to say that this film hits you hard from the very beginning. It's intense and it's gripping. Aditya Nimbalaka, the director, has crafted something that feels raw and real. If you've ever seen crime dramas like Patal Lock or Sacred Games, and that's not to say that it's derivative or overly familiar, but there's definitely a similar kind of weight to it, a sense of darkness that pulls you in. However, I think those benefit from telling a longer story. So talking about the story and performances, the story is based on something horrific that happened a while ago, and so if you have heard about this might not be that interesting to you because you have the real information to base this off of. However, the dramatized version of it is not always going to stick to the truth. They're going to be telling a truth to make it worthwhile watching in a movie format. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does, but I think they do that a lot here. I get the feeling that a lot is left out and some things are embellished. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I felt when I was watching this. And some of that feeling comes from how it is filmed. It sometimes feels like you're watching a documentary at times. We're following a police investigation, but this is not your typical run-of-the-mill crime procedural. There are layers here: corruption, personal stakes, and moral dilemmas. The film really leans into the grey areas of law enforcement, but a large section of the film, towards the end really, reminded me of Netflix's Mindhunter because of the interview section of this film. And then it reminded me of Netflix's Monster, the serial killer series. Is this film as good as those? No, but at least has the intention of pulling from those greats. Now, turning our attention to the cast, Vikrant Massey leads the charge here, and my gosh, does this man deliver. We all know that he's a solid actor. I mean, you just have to look at him in his film Cargo or Miserapur, which I finally got around to seeing, and I enjoyed it, but then didn't at the same time because of the content that's in there. But here he gives what I think is one of the best performances yet. Vikram plays Prem, who's working for Mr. Basi, a well-connected aging man living in Delhi. Prem aims to pleasure his master by supplying kidnapped children for his sadistic pleasures or engaging in organ trafficking. And if you think I'm embellishing the story, all you have to do is go and look up the Nithari killings for some light reading and you'll find out the truth, according to the news, about what happened. But his character is rough around the edges, a bit unpredictable, and really adds to the tension in the film because of how he plays his character. It looks like he's unhinged, but also in control at the same time, playing the serial killer vibe very well. Deepak Dobriyal, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, please forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, on the other hand, is just outstanding in Sector 36. He shows such a different side. He's playing this conflicted cop who's just trying to do the right thing in the system that's almost designed to make you fail. You can see the weight of the world on his shoulders, and Vikrant brings that out beautifully. It's one of those performances where you don't quite know what the character is going to do or how he's going to react to a situation because of how he's been forced into those situations. But when he does finally do action, you think it's about damn time. And then you start feeling for the character. He's not necessarily a good guy because almost nobody can be a good guy, especially in the cops situations because of what they have to face and basically the injustice of the whole system. The film opens with a monologue of sorts informing us of how broken that system is. So we understand his plight, don't necessarily like his choices, but now he's trying to do the right thing in a very broken system, and he plays that brilliantly. And then there's Baharul Islam. I don't think enough people talk about him as an actor. He's been around in the industry for quite a while, doing solid work, but here he's just chilling. He's got this quiet intensity that really fits the tone of the film. His scenes are few, but every time he's on screen, you can't look away. If this was a Bollywood film, he would walk in slow motion and a musical number would start playing, and we'd all be laughing because it's just that moment you expect your hero to start walking in slow motion and his hair flowing in the wind. It reminded me a lot of Pankaj Tripathi in Gangs of Wasseypur, where it's all about subtlety and underplaying it just right. Nimbalaka's direction shines here. The way the film is shot, it's gritty, it's grimy, and it makes you feel like you're in the thick of things. There's this rawness to it, almost like they didn't clean up any of the locations, they just shot as is, and that totally works for the story they're telling. You get a sense of the dirt and corruption that's all around these characters. It reminds me a bit of Sacred Games. I'd even go so far to say that the night scenes in this film were shot better. However, there was not enough of these scenes. Every time this film shined with its cinematography and its direction, I wanted to shout at them when they cut to a sort of bland shot. I wanted them to do more with it. The cinematographer, I have to give him credit though. There are some beautifully bleak shots. You get these wide angles of dilapidated neighborhoods and dark alleys, and they really play into the hopelessness of the character's situation. It's almost as if the setting becomes another character in the movie. It's not over stylized though, and I appreciate that. It's not big or grandiose. It's not trying to wow you with beautiful sunsets. It's not anything like that. It's not that type of movie. Even though the cinematography looks beautiful, what you're seeing on screen is disturbing at times, bleak and depressing. And the pacing and editing. Now for me, this is where the film stumbles a bit. Sector 36 is a slow burn, and I do mean slow. It takes its time building up the tension, which I don't mind. I like some slow burns if there's a good payoff, and there is, but it kind of loses steam in the middle. It drags its feet, veering off sort of side story, not really paying attention to the main arc. And by the time we get to the main arc, it finishes. Some nasty things happen, and then it just is done. So you get to the point where you feel like the film is dragging and you want it just to move along, and then it's done. That's not to say this film is boring, far from it. If you're someone who prefers fast-paced thrillers, this might feel a little sluggish at times. It's a bit like how Tumbad takes its time unraveling the stories, and in some ways it pays off. But there are moments where you just wish it would hurry the hell up. The editing though for the most part is sharp. There's a lot of tension in how the film is cut, especially during the investigative sequences. The sound design here plays a big role as well. Subtle, not overbearing. You've got those scenes where the sound drops out entirely and then you're left with nothing but the actors and their surroundings. This works especially for the interview section, where we are as a viewer getting to watch a serial killer being interviewed. Using the silence as a technique is brave, and not enough thrillers do it. If I had to compare it to something, I'd say it falls somewhere between Batal Locke and Delhi Crime. I've got a review for, I think, both of those on my channel, so you can look it up. You've got that police procedural element, but it's much more character driven. There's also a bit of True Detective in there, especially in how the film deals with the moral dilemmas the characters face. It's not about catching the bad guy, it's about what the process does to the people involved, how it changes them, and the toll it takes on their soul. And that's where the movie really shines. So wrapping things up, Sector 36 is not going to be for everyone. If you're a fan of slow burn, gritty thrillers that make you think, you're going to love this. If you like your crime dramas a bit more action and excitement, you might find yourself checking the time during the middle, or scrolling on your phone and checking, who's done what next. Doom scrolling. For me, the performances, the direction, and the raw cinematography more than make up for any pacing issues. All that being said though, there's not enough in this film with the story they have. It takes its time getting to the meat of the story, which is fine, but when you get there, it's over and done with. It's not a huge irritation, but it's a little one. The content is disturbing at times, but doesn't have the same unsettling feeling as, say, Netflix's monster serial killing series or Sacred Games. Perhaps I'm a little too saturated with all the content I've been watching, but it's just forgettable. Even with all the good parts, I give Sector 36 3 out of 5 Nicolas Cages.
You've got one.
As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this review, and of course, if you want to see more content like this, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Even if it's just for a little while to see what else I do. If you found this informative and entertaining, then chat to me in the comments about what you thought about the film. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.